In this video, we'll look at how to work with text fields in Corona SDK. Corona SDK's native library provides access to platform-specific UI elements, such as the text input field, multi-line text box, web view, video view, pop-up, and alert. Single-line text input fields are created using the native.textfield API call, which accepts 4 required parameters and 1 optional parameter. Left top are required number values that represent the XY coordinates that correspond to the top left corner of the text field. Width and height are required number values that represent the width and height or size of the text field. Listener is an optional handler function to respond to keyboard events. Before we look at some sample code, it's important to note that native input text fields are only available in device builds and the OS X simulator, but not on the Windows simulator. Also keep in mind that while Corona Simulator attempts to provide a representation of native display objects during development, not all text field functionality is available within the simulator. Because text fields are native display objects, you'll need to build your apps for the Xcode simulator or Android device to fully test all related functionality during development. You should always test on target devices. See the documentation located on the Corona Labs website for more details. Let's look at some sample code. In this example, we'll create a text field and 2 labels to display user instructions and provide feedback as the user updates the text field. First, we'll create 2 global variables to store the width and height of the screen. Then we'll create a rectangle to use as our background. We'll make the rectangle the same size as our screen, and we'll set its fill color to black. We'll eventually add a text event handler to the background so we can make the keyboard go away when we tap outside of the text field. Next, we'll create a label for our text field with the text first name to prompt the user to enter their first name. During the creation of the first name label, we'll set its XY position, font, and size. Then we'll create a text field called txt first name, and we'll set its XY position and its height and width. We'll then increase the size of the text within the text field to visually match the size of the text field text area, and we'll also add an event listener to handle user interaction with txt first name. We'll then create another label to show feedback when txt first name is being updated. The value of this label will be set to nothing, so we won't initially see any feedback on the screen when the app loads. Then we'll attach user input to our txt first name object. Within the function, we'll examine the past and event to determine the phase of the event. If we are in the began phase, we'll clear any text that's been entered into the text field, and we'll update our feedback label with the text waiting. If we are in the ended phase, we'll append thank you to the text field text. If we are in the submitted phase, we'll append hello to the text field text. And if we are in the editing phase, we'll update the feedback label with the start position of each character. This will act as a form of character counting, just to provide some feedback as the user is typing in the text field. Lastly, we'll add an event listener to the background so we can hide the keyboard once the text field loses focus. When we place focus on the text field, we see that our feedback label shows the waiting text. As we type, we are presented with a character count. Notice that the keyboard does not show in the simulator. To see the full text field functionality, we'll need to build the app using the Xcode simulator or for Android device. If we press the Enter key on our keyboard, the feedback label says, "Hello, John Doe." And if we remove focus from the text field by touching outside of the text field with our mouse, we enter the ended phase and our feedback label updates to say, "Thank you, John Doe." Now let's build the app using the Xcode simulator. In Corona Simulator, we go to File, Build, iOS, choose Xcode Simulator in the drop-down, and click Build. Once the build completes and the app loads in the Xcode simulator, we can repeat our previous steps. When we place focus on the text field this time, we see that our feedback label shows the waiting text. However, this time in the Xcode simulator, a keyboard appears. We can use this keyboard or our computer keyboard to enter text. As we type, we are presented with a character count. If we press the Enter key on our keyboard, the feedback label says, "Hello, John Doe." And if we remove the focus from the text field by touching outside of the text field with our mouse, we enter the ended phase and our feedback label updates to say "Thank you, John Doe," and the keyboard disappears. And that's a look at how to work with text fields in Corona SDK. Learn more about working with Corona SDK at coronalabs.com/university.